Hey guys, this is Liza that you're listening to. This is my podcast, Learning to Live. And today I want to talk about a super touchy subject. And reason being is because I've been looking for like new material, you could say, for the podcast. And I started looking through my journals because I was like, what have I learned? Apparently a lot. I've learned a lot. I've probably learned more about what I don't know than what I do know. And I know the last episode, thank you for listening if you took the time to listen to that. I know it was a little sad, little dark. Today I have another trigger warning for you. Another trigger, and it's a big one. Last I heard, it was 1 in 3 women that were sexually assaulted. That's the statistic that I last heard, but I don't know what it is anymore. Anyways, I'm one of those women. I'm going to try to make this as lighthearted as possible. I totally understand if you don't want to listen to this, because I am going to give you some examples of my experience with this. And one of them is in this journal from when I was 17. So let me start off with that. I'm gonna read this journal entry from July 12th of 2009. Some of it's not, I won't say what it is. All right. Hey, Foster, you need to stop licking your foot. Thank you. Please stop. You can't do that while we're recording. Okay. My dog does this thing where he chews on his foot when he's bored. It's like biting your nails or twirling your hair, except it's a bad habit. So we try to cut that shit out. Anyways, okay. Here we go. Okay. I'm going to read it. It's only 2 pages, okay? And I wrote large, so here we go. Just gonna jump right into this. I just had such a fucking scary dream. First of all, I'm gonna say that last night I was talking with my boyfriend at the time. We'll leave names out. In fact, let's call him Mike, okay? Till 2 a.m. And around 12:30, I was watching CSI New York, in which these 2 men posed as son and father. The man who was the son was actually 32 years old and was pretending to be a 17-year-old student at a prep school. He raped some girl. That alone was scary. The part where the guy was actually 32. I basically had a dream that I was at this guy's house. His so-called father was in the same bedroom as us. I didn't take off my clothes. And I wasn't drunk like the girl was on CSI, but I wasn't, quote unquote, cooperating. I kept struggling and screaming. The younger guy kept poking me really hard with tweezers or something. I got them out of his hand and stabbed his arm and twisted the tweezers into him. They threw me in a closet that had those fan type of doors where they fold out and the door looks like a washing board. Only some people will understand that reference. They forgot that they had threw in my cell phone. I tried to call the house, but it didn't work or something. Then Sarah showed up somehow. That's my sister. She was standing in the corner of the closet all huddled up. She was facing the corner. She wasn't crying or anything. She just seemed like she was trying to block anyone from seeing her body. I had Sarah hold the phone while it was calling the house. I kept asking if anyone had answered yet. Finally, Dad answered. I told him that I was at that guy's house or something like that, and he needed to come get me. The guys in the room heard me. I started screaming, "Come get me, I'm in trouble, help." They took the phone and pulled Sarah out by her arm. She still wasn't saying anything, really. I kept screaming because they locked the closet doors with something I couldn't open them. I started kicking them and slamming my body against them. I knocked one side down, opening the closet and falling onto the door I pushed out. The young guy was on top of Sarah, I think. I grabbed a lamp and broke it on his head. I don't know what happened to the other guy, and that was the end. I didn't cry when I was completely awake, but I felt so scared, I was shaking, and I just felt completely unsafe. Well, anyways, life is good other than that. Actually, a couple days ago, I told Mike that I didn't want to have sex when we hung out the next day. He was okay with it. We were in my bed the next day, and he was fingering me, which was fine. He said for me to take off my pants because it would be easier for him to finger me. I reminded him that I didn't want to have sex. He said he didn't want to either. He laid on top of me and stuck it in a little. He said, at this point I'm thinking, what's he trying to do? I already said that I didn't want to. I got so confused. I said it again, and again he agreed. I got really scared. I didn't understand why he was still on top of me. I didn't know if I should yell at him or ask him again to not do anything or shove him off of me or slap him or start crying. I hated it. Eventually, he realized that I really wanted him to stop. I felt scared. I put my clothes back on immediately. I felt so weird and uncomfortable. I wanted him to leave, but at the same time, I wanted him to just hold me. The next day, he apologized. Again. I'm pretty sure he knew that I was really uncomfortable with what happened. He also said that he almost started crying that night before because he felt like such an asshole. That made me feel better. He said that it just felt so good, and he basically got caught up in the moment, and he was confused because it took me a while to directly say, get off. He was also confused because I kept kissing him. If this ever happens again, I'm going to freak out and scream or something. I want to feel safe when I'm with him. And that is the end of that journal entry. And I read that for you guys because, I can read this now and know that, it's funny because this is something that I forgot about. But that, for anybody that is unfamiliar with the term sexual assault and what that means, or rape, that's what that is. That right there. Because when I've told people before that I have been sexually assaulted or raped, and a lot of people will picture, being held at gunpoint in a dark alley, and it's not always like that. Sometimes it seems consensual, but both people are under the influence of alcohol or some other drug, and therefore cannot consent. And I feel like, in my experience, most of the sexual assault I've experienced and rape that I've experienced has been under the influence of drugs and alcohol. And I think I've done an episode on this before, but I have not read that journal entry. And I read that because I can, as I read it, I realize that the dream that I had nights later after that instance with who we're calling Mike, I had a dream, and it was like, I think my sister represented me, right? Like my inner child. And I was like, I need to save her. And it was just crazy to read that, honestly. I'm still kind of processing it, because I literally just read it before getting on here. And I think for me, like I said, I kind of forgot that happened, because when I read it, I was like, yeah, I fucking remember that. I remember exactly where I was, and I did start crying. I was tearing up while my boyfriend at the time was having sex with me. And, nothing was ever done about it. It didn't happen again until years later when I was intoxicated and ended up going to the same college as this guy. And, I was so drunk, I couldn't stand. I couldn't walk up the stairs, and I have, the faintest memory of me, clambering to the stairs, trying to drag myself up. And, after him, because he had come to pick me up, and I had already like thrown up twice and didn't tell anyone. And then that was from a party. I was taken home from just backtracking a little bit, try to follow me here. I was at a sorority party between a sorority and a fraternity at Salisbury University. And I was taken home because I was that girl that was so drunk that I wasn't allowed to stay. I had to be removed. And I was in hysterics because my ex at the time, Mike, was at this party. And he ended up coming to pick me up because I had told him to. I texted him and I said, come get me. I'm at home on campus. And so he came to pick me up, had to help me into the house. And then, as I said, I was, clamoring to the fucking stair railing. And I just remember out of the corner of my eye seeing his roommates on the sofa just watching me trying to pull myself up a flight of stairs. And once I got up there, I remember initiating most of the sex. And this is where it gets tricky in the eyes of a prosecutor, because for me, what happened while I initiated most of the sex, I was barely conscious. I remember I had the spins, and so my head was going around and around and banging into the wall. And I passed out pretty quickly. And when I came to, he drove me home in the morning. And I told my group therapy people, because that was free at college because I already paid for it. And I told them what happened, and they were like, oh, so he raped you? And I was like, no, were you not listening? That's not what happened. And they were like, no, you were, it sounds like you were extremely intoxicated. You were not able to consent, and he was able to pick you up and drive you and all of this. And they were like, yeah, that's rape. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then they told me to go tell Student Judiciary Services. So I went to go tell them, and they told me to write a detailed account of what happened. So I went home, I typed it up, I brought it in, and they told me to go to the counseling center. And they didn't do anything. And they said it was because it had happened off campus. And I remember how angry I was, how furious I was that they kind of told me it was my fault. She said, well, since you remember most of it, that's the phrase I remember from the Student Judiciary Services. And I know that I'm not the only person with a similar story. I mean, most people, I would say, don't report sexual assault, and this is a huge issue. So, anywho, that's my second experience with the same guy, no less. Later on down the road, I would be dating a new guy in college, and Mike would lock himself in a bedroom that wasn't his, and then come out after his fraternity brothers banging on the door. Mike, get out of my room. I remember it so vividly. And then there was a girl that I knew in there, and she couldn't walk. And it was fucking nuts. I was like, oh my God, he's a serial rapist. And I kind of I had flashbacks to, oh my God, it started with me. I was the OG. And I'm sorry if this is kind of fucked up to laugh at, but I don't know how else to handle it, and I've processed this all on my own time over years of therapy and life coaching and all kinds of stuff. prayer, like just all kinds of stuff. And I ended up writing a letter to that guy because I was still so mad. I was so mad about the lack of accountability that it seemed like he faced. And I had to let that go. So that was instance number 2. Moving on to instance number 3, that was after college. It was this guy that, like, you know, we were flirting all night, and he was super cute, super sweet, super funny. I'm a sucker for a funny guy, guys. I was staying at this guy friend of mine's house in downtown, and I ended up sleeping in the basement in a separate room, had my own room. I was like, oh, this is great. Living the life right here. And this guy came down into the room while I was all tucked into the bed. He asked if he could sleep on the floor. And I was like, yeah, I think that would be okay. That would be okay. And I'm intoxicated. I mean, I'm done. I'm donezo. And let's not forget that I am an alcoholic, okay? I was drunk. And when this guy laying on the floor, and I wake up a few minutes later, and he's next to me in the bed. I'm like, okay, I guess this is okay. Like, yeah, the floor probably was not very comfortable. So he's laying in the bed, and then I doze off again, and I wake up again, and his hand is touching me. And I'm like, okay, maybe he's trying to wake me up. No, he's not. He continues to touch me. Guys, I kid you not when I tell you he put his hands on every part of my body. This guy kissed me while I was, quote, passed out. I did not sleep that night. And I experienced again what I experienced in my journal that first time of not knowing what to do. Of, I don't know if I should scream, push him off, or is he going to overpower me? What if he's stronger than me? Which he definitely was. It was like either go along with it and pretend to be asleep, or scream. And the only relief that I got throughout that night was when I would like pretend to wake up. Like I would inhale really deeply and kind of move my body a little bit, like he thought I was going to wake up, and he would snatch his hands back real fast. And the craziest part about that one is that in the morning, I called him out on it. I was still drunk. I was still drunk in the morning. He drove me home. Really nice guy. Obviously, I mean that sarcastically, for those of you not watching this video. So he drove me home, and I confronted him. I was like, I was awake all of last night. You were touching me. I know that you were. And, he put my hand on him, every part. Like, it was, guys, it was really creepy. It was really creepy, really fucking creepy. And because then, now the thought for my sober self is, I wonder how many times that happened to me because of how many times I was drunk and passed out. And this guy, I can't quite remember what he said to my confrontation, but he offered to take me to dinner to show him to show me that he wasn't a terrible person, to like redeem himself. And when I told my therapist this, she was like, no. Like I told her after the fact. I let this guy take me to dinner, and I had him buy me 4 to-go orders on top of my original order. We went to we went to El Toro Bravo, and I ordered 5 orders of chicken enchiladas because I was like, you owe me for touching me in the middle of the night. All night. I did not sleep. The man touched me all night. Like, you have to kind of admit, he was dedicated, and so was I. Like, I was not passing out. I was terrified, to be honest with you. And I can't, the fact that I went and got enchiladas with this guy after, like, oh, what? Like, and I guess in my mind, I was trying to play it off just like the other times. Like, I just tried to tell myself it's no big deal. This guy just violated me in every possible way, and it's fine. It's fine. But it's not fine, guys. It is not fine. And it is up to myself. Obviously I have a totally different mind now. I've had to forgive that person that I was, like, so many times, because it was much easier to forgive those guys for doing that and have compassion for them, because most people that do those things either had that done to them, or, I'm not saying that there's an excuse, but I can have a sense of compassion. I can have a sense of empathy. I don't know, I'm not saying that what they did is right or approve of it. I'm just saying I accept it. Like, that shit happened. It sucked. Excuse me, just burped a little. But it took way longer for me to forgive myself, because in most instances I was intoxicated. I feel like there's one I'm forgetting, and I don't know how that's possible. Can't quite remember. But those are the big ones that like come to mind for me in my experience. And I share this because I used to get really, really choked up talking about these things. I used to, like, I would start shaking, and it would feel like I was reliving it all over again when I spoke about it. And sitting here now, I can tell you that talking about it, it has not made it easier to deal with. Writing about it has. Writing about it, processing those emotions that way. I guess talking about it did help a little bit. But I feel like I'm at a point where I've accepted that I've experienced that, these sexual assaults and rape, and I don't have the same reaction now, because I know that I can't change it, and I don't want that, to sound sad, and dark. It just, like, I guess I'm sharing this because I want people to understand that it doesn't have to be some kind of brutal, horrible thing where you're fighting to get away, because I feel like that's the traditional judgment of what rape and sexual assault means. That you said no, or, and it's what I see on Law & Order SVU, right? Like, the woman, she didn't say no. Like, and now I know why. I get it. You don't know what to do in these situations. Nobody prepares for shit like that to happen. And for me, I guess I share this because if you have experienced this, it's not okay. And it's okay that it's not okay, in the sense that, like, you can tell somebody it's not your fault. It's not your fault. And I can tell you that I did go to the police about that guy. We'll call him John, the second guy that, like, touched me and molested me in the night. I started to think about other people. That's what happened there. It was like a year or two after it had happened, and I went to the police and I told them what happened. And that was also upsetting, because I told them, I wanted to tell them because I just wanted it to be on file, because I feel like, after talking with my therapist, it was made clear that that was not the first time he had done something like that. He was maniacal about the way he entered the room, and like, he was very comfortable doing what he did. And that told me, and my therapist told my therapist, who told me that that was not his first time doing that. And so I started to think about other people. I started to think about the other women that probably have no idea, and who weren't, like, probably most people are passed out, like, actually passed out, and aren't like me, and, like, fucking paralyzed in the night. And the cops they didn't do anything. Granted, I spoke with a male officer, and I didn't go to SVU, because I don't even know if my city has that, whatever. They probably do. I don't know. The point is that they did nothing. They didn't take a report or anything. I wanted it to, like, be on record or something that, like, he had done all of this stuff, and they were like, well, we can't do anything. I was like, yeah, but what if he does it again? Like, don't you want this on file somewhere so you can, like, bring me to court if he's, caught for more serious crimes? Like, God, the justice system sucks. The whole system sucks. We all know it's broken. Anyways, we're tearing it down. It's going. Anyways, I hope that this was not too down in the dumps for you, okay? I tried to keep it lighthearted. I really did. I think I did a good job. I think I did a good job trying to present this in a way that was, not super sad and depressing, but also informative, and in the sense that, like, I want you to be informed on what to do if this happens to you. Like, it's okay to scream. It's okay to freak the fuck out. And it's okay to not. It's okay to stay, to do what it is that you think is going to keep yourself the safest. Because that is what I was doing when I didn't scream. Because I didn't know what would happen if I did. If, this guy would get aggressive, violent. So sometimes you just kind of gotta go through stuff like that. And I share this now because I want you to know that you're not alone, that last I checked, 1 in 3 women have experienced something like I have, if not worse. Not that it's a comparison at all, kind of sucks. So, anyways, that is all I have for you today. Please, when you go about your day and your week, I want you to keep in mind that we do not know what people have experienced. We just don't know, and we never will know. So it is so, so, so important to be kind to each other. So important. We need to have compassion for each other, because that means that we're having compassion for ourselves. That, you know, if I treat others kindly, that means that I am treating that 17-year-old who didn't know what to do the first time she was raped. I'm treating her with kindness. Thank you so very much for listening. I love you guys.